Hello friends, welcome to Star Explainer. Tales of Herding Gods Part 391 explains based on novel. So let's start explanation. When they were on the boat, Yunchuxia once mentioned that when she led two heavenly masters, the celestial heaven's divine warrior guards, and her proud disciples into the great void, they suffered heavy casualties. The divine warrior guards were completely lost, and none of her disciples survived either. As for the two heavenly masters, they also died in the great void. She also once mentioned that there was a heavenly master Yu amongst them that cracked the great void's secret, yet he didn't get out alive. However, Qin Mu had seen through her. She had killed the entire party for self-preservation. If this ferocious Daoist, Yu Tinga, was the heavenly master Yu that Yunchuxia talked about, how did he survive a celestial venerable's attack? How did he escape to this place? People who become heavenly masters all have extraordinary capabilities. Yu Tinga must have had an escape plan. Yunchuxia once said that the two heavenly masters were strong experts of the Emperor's Throne Grand Completion realm. A cold sweat broke out on Qin Mu's forehead. Just now, when he revealed that he was Celestial Venerable Mu, this Yu Tinga came to kowtow to him. If, however, he wasn't here to kowtow, but instead was here to kill, then, my body would be cold by now, right? He secretly thought. Luo Wushuang was also shocked by this and took a long time to recover. He knew little about Heavenly Master Yu, as few amongst the celestial heavens higher-ups would use their real names. Instead, they choose to use a title or nickname. Only people in the lower ranks would use their real names. Hence, he didn't know the four great heavenly teachers' real names. There was also no Yu Tinga amongst the four great heavenly teachers of today. The four great heavenly teachers, four great heavenly kings, and four great deities weren't permanent either. Their positions might seem high, but they were disposable to the 10 celestial venerables. They were replaced after they died. Luo Wushuang's position today, and his position back then were low, so he only caught a glance of Heavenly Master Yu. Additionally, Yu Tinga had already been dead for 10,000 years. The heavenly masters of the celestial heavens today had already been replaced. Besides, the Yu Tinga of the past was an elegant person. Now, he was ferocious and evil-looking, for he cared little about his appearance, which made him look completely different from his past self. Thus, Luo Wushuang was unable to recognize him instantly. How did this heavenly master who died 10,000 years ago appear here? Heavenly Master Yu, I have several questions that require your guidance. Qin Mu walked up and said to that ferocious Daoist, can I ask, how did you survive? Also, which celestial venerable amongst the 10 was the one who led you all into the great void? That evil Daoist Yu Tinga rose up, glanced at him, put his grilled beast thigh on his shoulder and walked outside. He angrily said, the only reason that I didn't kill you is that I respect how you were a celestial venerable of the Dragon Han era. Don't be a busybody. Qin Mu followed him outside the city, continuing his questioning. He asked, where are the masters of creation? Why haven't we seen them? Have you met Celestial Venerable Hua and Celestial Venerable Shu? Do you know where Carefree Village is? Did you meet Celestial Venerable Qin here? Yu Tinga revealed a peculiar smile that hinted at his insanity. He said, Celestial Venerable Hua. Celestial Venerable Shu. They are here to kill me, right? It must be so. They are here to kill me. I led them to that treacherous place. He. They will never be able to escape and will die there. I'm safe. Luo Wushuang followed Qin Mu and whispered in his ear, this heavenly master Yu doesn't seem sane. Could he be insane after being stuck here for 10,000 years? Yu Tinga glanced at him and coldly said, one-armed one, you look down on me too much. I wouldn't go insane even if I was stuck here for 1,000,000 years, much less 10,000. I just don't trust those celestial venerables. Just now, he was illogical and incoherent. Now, he was the opposite. He continued, when Celestial Venerable Qin became founding emperor, and built the fake dynasty of the founding emperor Celestial Heavens, the 10 Celestial Venerables schemed against him. I was the head of the 4 great heavenly teachers then, and I designed the scheme against him. He recalled the past, which made him proud as he continued, after all, founding emperor was Celestial Venerable Qin, one of the 5 founding elders of the Heaven Alliance. Who would get rid of him openly? In addition, if he were to lead his subordinates into the celestial heavens, he would become one of the strongest forces in the celestial heavens Heaven Alliance. Thus, it was imperative that we didn't let him take it over again. Therefore, I used the peeling method against him. He excitedly recalled the past. When the Dragon Han Celestial Heavens came into contact with the founding Emperor Celestial Heavens, the former hijacked the latter's development. The strongest member of founding Emperor's subordinates, Dieu, was bewitched by Son of Heaven Yin. In addition, due to the actions of the God of War, Li Yuran, and Red Deity Qi Xiaoyu, the power of the celestial heavens seeped into the power of founding Emperor, and split his celestial heavens from within. When the situation escalated, one could uproot founding Emperor's power. He proudly continued, founding Emperor could do nothing against my plan, and in the end, founding Emperor's celestial heavens was destroyed. However, he was smart enough to see that the situation wasn't in his favor, and he built Carefree Village in secret. He was able to escape. The 10 celestial venerables didn't let up and sent me to find Carefree Village. Although my credit was due, I should have known the logic of boiling the dog once it bit the rabbit. He lowered his head and looked around in an abnormally cautious manner before laughing. I know too many secrets of theirs. They wanted to kill us. Having me search for Carefree Village was a ruse to kill me. Qin Mu and Luo Wushuang looked at one another. This heavenly master Yu was a bit insane again. Mistress Yuan Mu hadn't planned to kill him. As one of the 10 celestial venerables, she led her party into the Great Void with the aim to find Carefree Village. However, she slaughtered her subordinates for self-preservation, to survive the Great Void's peculiarities. Heavenly Master Yu was a wise person who understood that, but now, he was a bit crazy. Last time, they couldn't kill me, and now, they sent 3 great celestial venerables after me. He. Celestial Venerable Hua and Celestial Venerable Shu were duped by me into going to that treacherous place. However, there still remains the 3rd Celestial Venerable, Celestial Venerable Mu. His eyes gave off a murderous intent, and stared down ferociously at Qin Mu. Suddenly, the murderous intent in his eyes disappeared, and he hid in the corner of the street, looking at Qin Mu at times. He whispered to that roasted beast leg, "Should we dupe Celestial Venerable Mu into that treacherous place and let him die there? We can't do that, he might not be an enemy. Besides, he imparted the way to become a god to us. You're right, we shouldn't kill him, but we can kill the one-armed one." Luo Wushuang felt fear in his heart as he pleaded, "Qin Mu, Overlord Body Qin, I feel that this heavenly master Yu isn't rational. Should we leave?" Qin Mu hesitated as Yu Tinga continued mumbling to that beast leg, "However, this sneaky celestial venerable Mu doesn't seem like a good person. We've already harmed 2 celestial venerables, it should be nothing to harm another." Qin Mu no longer hesitated and immediately interrupted Luo Wushuang, saying, "He's indeed crazy. Leave now." Yu Tinga walked towards them with none of that murderous aura from before. He looked like a sage-like elder filled with wisdom as he laughed. "Celestial Venerable Mu, do you want to know what happened to Celestial Venerable Qin and Carefree Village? Please follow me if you do." Qin Mu blinked. Luo Wushuang shook his head and said, "Overlord Body Qin, he's lying to us, we can't go with him." Qin Mu clenched his teeth and followed Yu Tinga. At the same time, hundreds of miles from that city, Lian Huahan was fighting another young god. He was a young god who had great power. Behind him were 4 floating celestial palaces, which made his magic power incredible. However, Lian Huahan, despite being a divine arts practitioner at the Divine Bridge realm, was able to get the upper hand. The two of them fought with speed and various paths, skills, and divine arts that were dazzling. Soon, everything settled down as the two of them landed. That young god held his chest and hoarsely asked, "Sister Lian, why?" Lian Huahan pushed her divine art into his body. It was a peculiar divine art that acted like an abyss that devoured his essence and blood constantly. Soon, he was as skinny as a matchstick. Not only that, but his 7 divine treasures also fell into that abyss one by one. The celestial heavens had a lot of experts on the great Tao of Yudu and Yudu divine arts, which included Son of Heaven Yin, who epitomized the Yudu divine arts. However, the celestial heavens knew little about the ruins of End. The ruins of End divine arts were a mystery to the celestial heavens. Not many people learned about the ruins of End, let alone its great Tao runes. This young god was strong and powerful, more so than the god Qin Mu came in contact with and Qin Yu. However, he could only meet a miserable end when facing the peculiar ruins of End divine arts. It was just that he didn't understand what had happened. He and Lian Huahan were celestial venerable house disciples, and he took care of her quite frequently. Therefore, he didn't expect that Lian Huahan would strike at him to the point of even landing the killing blow. "There's no why, Brother Liao." Lian Huahan silently said, "I just don't wish for you to find Celestial Venerable Mu faster than me. That's all." That Brother Liao grunted. The abyss in his body had already swallowed his celestial being divine treasure, and was about to swallow the life and death divine treasure, and divine bridge divine treasure. His essence and blood were soon swallowed whole, and his body became a skeleton covered with skin. "You wouldn't have defeated him," Lian Huahan explained. "You can't defeat him, so you would use Celestial Venerable Hao's way to kill Mu. However, even if you used it, you might not be able to kill him. The likelihood is that you would be seen through by him, and he would refine his own techniques and divine arts as a result." Brother Liao's life and death divine treasure and divine bridge divine treasure collapsed and fell into the abyss. The abyss then began to swallow his celestial palace, after reaching the southern heavenly gate. His corporeal body, which only had bones left, also began to collapse internally. Such a way of dying was incomparably excruciating. There are only 18 ways left in the ways to kill Mu. Every way that he sees through is another way that one can't use against Celestial Venerable Mu. Your abilities are too weak, and you lot are too stupid. Instead of waiting for him to break all of the ways to kill Mu and having him grow stronger, why not preserve them? Lian Huahan whispered, "I can't get rid of him without using my own grand technique. Thus, I can't tolerate having the ways to kill Mu exposed. Therefore, I have to get rid of you all. Is this explanation acceptable, Brother Liao?" Brother Liao's celestial palaces made a loud roar as thousands of its halls fell into the abyss. His primordial spirit was also unable to escape, and it fell into the abyss with his collapsing corporeal body. In the end, he disappeared from this world without leaving a single trace. Even his soul disappeared without any fragments or black sand. He was completely absorbed by the abyss. Then, the abyss divine art flew back into Lian Huahuan's eyebrows. After, a red imprint appeared in the heart of her brows before disappearing. She took out a mirror, and on it were 5 red dots. 4 of them were moving. This was the precious artifact that Celestial Venerable Hao forged for the 19 disciples going on this trip. It was a soul mirror, and every disciple could use it to find the others quickly via the red dots. That way, they could gather together and work in unison to get rid of Qin Mu. It was just that Celestial Venerable Hao didn't expect that it would become his disciples' talisman of early death. 5 out of the 18 disciples of Celestial Venerable Hao have already died at my hands. There are 4 left. After getting rid of these 4, I can deal with Celestial Venerable Mu. Lian Huahan revealed a smile and flew towards one of the red dots while clutching the soul mirror. The other 9 either died on the way here, or died to the peculiarities of the Great Void. I just don't know whether anyone was eliminated by Celestial Venerable Mu, and how many of the 18 ways to kill Mu are left. However, to kill him, I'll have to use many of the 18 ways. Soon, she caught up to one of the red dots, and saw a lady speeding on a barren plain. She was clutching a mirror too. Sister Li! Lian Huahan shouted. The expression of the woman called Sister Li changed immediately, and she sped up and flew away quickly. She coldly said, Lian Huahan, I just saw one of the red dots disappear after coming into contact with your red dot on the soul mirror. You killed that disciple and are now here to kill me, right? Lian Huahuan's expression changed slightly as she chased, saying, Since I have been found out by Sister, I have even less of a reason to leave you alive. Don't flee now, Sister. Your fate is sealed. Although Sister Li was a real god, she didn't dare to fight her. Instead, she chose to flee. Lian Huahan extended a finger, and a black whirlpool appeared in front of her. She jumped into the whirlpool and disappeared. Sister Li was fleeing when, suddenly, a black whirlpool appeared beside her. She was about to stop when that whirlpool engulfed her. The whirlpool shook violently in mid-air, looking as if 2 beasts were fighting to the death inside of it. Not long after, Sister Li rushed out of it to flee. However, her body became lighter and lighter before becoming not much more than skin that was picked up by the wind. Her corporeal body was empty as the blood, flesh, bones, divine treasures, celestial palace, and primordial spirit beneath her skin were swallowed. Lian Huahan emerged from the whirlpool and examined the soul mirror. She walked in a direction according to the soul mirror, mumbling to herself, 3 left. Yu Tinga hastily brought Qin Mu, the divine dragon he visualized, and Luo Wushuang along. This Daoist suddenly became ferocious looking again, as he sneakily looked around. Whenever there was a disturbance, he would hide in a bush or behind a tree as if someone intended to harm him. The divine dragon also clumsily hid with him in a sneaky manner. Qin Mu didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and he asked why Yu Tinga did what he did. Yu Tinga coldly laughed. This world is hostile towards me. It monitors my every move to harm me. If I'm not careful, I'll die. He looked around nervously, then lowered his voice and said, I have to tell you a secret, the land of the Great Void is alive. It monitors every action of ours and listens in on our conversations. It will create all sorts of accidents to get rid of us. Qin Mu and Luo Wushuang looked at one another. The jumpiness and over-anxiety of an expert at the Emperor's Throne Great Completion realm like Yu Tinga, who was almost as powerful as Tao Ancestor and Brahma Buddha, surprised them. Stop! Yu Tinga suddenly became very nervous, and he crawled on the ground, sniffing it. The divine dragon followed him and imitated him. Yu Tinga lifted his head, which was filled with the color of fear, before suddenly running away and calling out, They are here. Qin Mu was stunned, but he still followed him. Luo Wushuang also followed them, for he had no choice, but not before saying, Overlord Body Qin, this heavenly master Yu is indeed crazy. If he wants to kill us, none of us can withstand it. We should keep our distance. Qin Mu had some doubts about that. Although Yu Tinga was clearly not in a normal state, a strong expert like him usually wouldn't go crazy just because he was stuck here for 10,000 years. Was his brain wrecked by Celestial Empress? Of course, following this lunatic could indeed be treacherous since no one knew what he was going to do next. The divine dragon followed them, still sniffing around. Suddenly, he seemed to have sniffed something. He shook his nose violently and said, with some doubt, Moha. Qin Mu and the others were far away, when the divine dragon was about to catch up. At that moment, the earth split open, and thousands of acres of land became a giant eyeball. That giant eyeball rolled around and looked at Qin Mu and the others from far away. The divine dragon was spooked, and all of its scales rose in unison. It fled quickly towards Qin Mu and the others. Moha Moha. The divine dragon ran circles around Qin Mu, trying to tell him what he saw. Are you hungry again? Qin Mu asked. Maha. The divine dragon ran around Qin Mu even faster, as he didn't know how to describe what he saw. He looked back and saw that the ground was flat again, with the giant eyeball nowhere to be seen. Moha. The divine dragon lifted his claws to scratch his head, clearly confused. Suddenly, not far away, a large mountain cracked open to reveal a giant eyeball rolling around. Its pupil shrank, and its gaze was focused on Qin Mu and the others. The mountain beside it turned into a giant ear instead. The divine dragon's scales stood again, and he rushed to Qin Mu, pointing at the mountain with his claws, exclaiming, Moha. Qin Mu looked back and saw nothing, just mountains, as the iron ear had disappeared and returned to the mountains. This dragon is crazy too. Luo Wushuang suggested, we should kill it and eat it. The divine dragon lowered its head and followed them listlessly. The divine dragon was unable to talk and tell Qin Mu and the others that he wasn't crazy, that this land of the Great Void was indeed alive and was spying on them. Not long after, the dragon saw the blue sky above them morph into a giant eyeball, but he lacked the courage to tell the rest. He weakly said, Moha. He did the same thing when he saw a giant tree morph into a giant ear. Qin Mu and the rest followed Yutinga, who was unusually careful as he said, this place is very treacherous despite how quiet it is. I was only able to survive because of my wit. Good brother. He caressed the roasted beast leg and gently said, good brother, there is only you and me here. Let's be brothers forever. Who are you guys? He was alarmed when he suddenly saw Qin Mu, Luo Wushuang, and the divine dragon following him. Qin Mu coughed and said, Heavenly Master we are. I remember you guys. Yu Tinga had a realization and threw that beast leg, saying, Celestial Venerable Mu, one-armed one. Of course, I remember you guys. He. We must be careful where we are going. I'll tell you guys a secret, the land of the Great Void is alive. When the beast leg fell on the ground, it made a loud sound, and Yutinga looked at it in an alarmed fashion. He coldly said, tempting me with a roasted beast leg. Did you think I would fall for it? Do you think I'm a 3-year-old kid? Let's go quickly, they are spying on us. We must find Celestial Venerable Hua, and Celestial Venerable Shu quickly. That fellow founding emperor is coming. Qin Mu's scalp turned numb. He wanted to leave, but upon hearing that founding emperor was coming, he had no choice but to follow him. Yu Tinga continued leading them. It was then that Qin Mu suddenly discovered that Yu Tinga's head had become a cube when walking, like a box with rectangular eyes, ears, nose and mouth. This heavenly master's neck, body, and limbs also became cubes, with each part of his fingers also becoming interlocking cubes. Qin Mu and Luo Wushuang were shocked. They soon discovered that they had also become cuboids like Yu Tinga. Qin Mu turned around to look at the divine dragon, and discovered that he had become a weird creature made out of interlocking cubes as well. The trees, leaves, mountains, and even the water flowing in the river were cubes. This is the weird divine art that the Great Void's masters of creation visualized with their consciousnesses. In other words, they created another illusionary world in the Great Void that plays by different rules from the outside world. Qin Mu looked up and saw that the clouds above were rectangular, as was the sun. He retrieved his sword pellet, which was also a cube. He utilized his magic power, and the sword pellet morphed into a treasure sword that was made out of cubes too. Qin Mu opened his third eye, which remained normal and wasn't a cuboid. He gathered his consciousness and forced it into the grand primordium origin stone, hollering, "Break." His consciousness was extremely strong, and he used it to utilize the grand primordium origin stone, which became stronger. However, when it came out of his eye, it became a flying cuboid consciousness. Qin Mu's eyes were wide open, and he was perplexed. This didn't feel like an illusion, it felt more like the real world. Suddenly, Shu Jun's voice appeared, laughing. "Do you know your weakness now? This land is the strongest realm created by the strongest master of creation using the supreme consciousness. One is bound by its great Tao rules upon entering, becoming its being. Only the grand primordium origin stone isn't affected by it." Despite being outside the grand primordium origin stone, he wasn't affected by the outside and remained as a big head on the sacrificial altar. It was just that it was empty, and it only had 2 eyes. Qin Mu's heart trembled, and he asked, "How can I break this?" "You can't." Shu Jun's head flew from the sacrificial altar, and out of the grand primordium origin stone, and Qin Mu's eye as he mockingly laughed and said, "Do lowly creatures, like you actually think you can break the supreme consciousness? It traps you, but not a strong being like me. I'll find out which step this master of creation's supreme consciousness is at." When he flew out of Qin Mu's eye, his body was instantly changed by the realm, and his head became a large cube as well. Shu Jun was shocked, and both of his eyeballs flew out of the sockets, and became 2 flying cubes attached to his head by more cubes. He was the only being I was inferior to in my prime. However, it shouldn't be difficult to break it. Break. He used way more of his consciousness than Qin Mu, yet when his consciousness divine art flew out, it had the same effect as Qin Mu's, becoming countless flying transparent cubes. This master of creation is stronger than me. Shu Jun immediately became listless and said, He, my brain isn't fully restored, so it's difficult to break his supreme consciousness." He laughed for a little bit, and was about to fly back into Qin Mu's eye when Yutinga hugged him and caressed his head, gently saying, "I finally found you, good brother." Shu Jun felt a chill down his spine and immediately transmitted his voice via his consciousness, saying, "Brat with the surname Qin, get this lunatic off of me." Qin Mu pretended not to hear him, thinking, although Shu Jun is useful, he's a devious person that's always trying to trick me. It's a good thing that he left the grand primordium origin stone. However, I hope that Heavenly Master Yu doesn't kill him since he still knows many secrets of the masters of creation and their divine arts. He might even have better techniques than the 3 enclosures' higher knowledge. Shu Jun hurriedly transmitted his voice via his consciousness, but Qin Mu still didn't respond. He began to panic. Yu Tinga clamped him under his armpit and hurried forward, saying quietly, "We'll reach that place soon. When we arrive there, we can harm another celestial venerable, he. Shu Jun couldn't move, so he accepted his fate. While walking, Qin Mu discovered that Yu Tinga became a paper man. The same happened to his vital organs and body, and Qin Mu and Luo Wushuang could see his eyes, nose, and mouth from behind. They could even see the makeup of his brain and his vital organs. It was like he became a creature made out of strings, like a moving humanoid painting. Not only did Yu Tinga become a paper man, but Shu Jun became a paper skull. However, Shu Jun's head was empty since he had no brain. The surrounding mountains, plants, and rivers also looked like their counterparts in paintings. The river flowed on the ground, and the mountains and plants stood beside it. The white clouds floating in the sky were also pieces of white paper. This whole sight was peculiar to the point that no words could describe it. Qin Mu lowered his head. Unexpectedly, he too became a paper man, and he could see his vital organs and the structure of his corporeal body clearly by looking down. The only thing that still didn't change was his third eye. The grand primordium origin stone was strong enough to withstand the assault of this peculiar supreme consciousness realm. Their corporeal bodies, however, weren't so strong. This is different from the painting path. It tries to paint a realistic world. However, this supreme consciousness realm wishes for us to become paintings on a piece of paper. Qin Mu blinked as he thought. We will be there soon, we will be there soon, Yutinga mumbled repeatedly. Suddenly, he threw Shujun on the ground, ran forward and laughed. Quickly, come here. We'll be arriving soon. Qin Mu, Luo Wushuang, and the divine dragon followed him quickly, as did Shujun. With his paper head floating behind Qin Mu, Shujun said unnervingly, the supreme consciousness realm's strength is growing. This master of creation is way stronger than me when I was alive. I'm not his opponent. We shouldn't delve any deeper. We should be able to make it if we leave now. Suddenly, Yutinga's body changed again, becoming a flying light spot. Luo Wushuang and the divine dragon also became light spots, as did Shujun when Qin Mu looked at him. Qin Mu, however, became an eyeball and a small light spot. Yutinga flew forward cheerfully, calling out to them, "Look." The 4 light spots flew with him, and a giant creature appeared in their sight. One of the light spots stopped abruptly. It was Shujun, and he was trembling and losing control of his consciousness. Grand Emperor. Shujun cried out bitterly. Part 390 end here. Thank you for watching.